Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Fading Suns universe book. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this space opera passion play RPG, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the Merchant League, those who trade. At the height of the Second Republic, star-spanning conglomerates dominated innumerable areas of life. They often controlled how people spent their money, what they spent it on, where they lived and worked, and what they did in their spare time. While the Second Republic government ostensibly oversaw and regulated their activities, on many worlds these corporations controlled the governors as well as the governed. With the fall, these companies disappeared, either destroyed or absorbed into the noble houses, whose members often sat on their boards. Others fought to stay alive as their power disappeared with the closing jump gates. 5 guilds have risen to prominence, but none of them has enough authority alone to control the entire league. In fact, despite their prestige, even if they worked together, an unlikely event, they would have a hard time forcing the rest of the league to do anything if all the lesser guilds united against them. The 5 leading guilds are the Charioteers, the Engineers, the Muster, the Reaps, and the Scrapers. They have each established their own specialties and defend them vigorously. However, none of them hold a complete monopoly in any of their areas. All guild members understand that their success lasts as long as they can make it last and not a moment longer. The main guilds have carved out their own hegemonies, be they in territory, product, or service. Additionally, individual guilds often battle each other both militarily and financially. Alliances within the league seem to shift with the solar winds, as today's allies become tomorrow's stepping stones. The guilds usually hire outside agents to handle these matters, preferring to keep their most loyal forces engaged against non-merchant opponents. Still, no matter how fiercely they compete with one another, they all understand that they have common enemies. Should nobles or church leaders attempt to take advantage of the league's internal squabbles, the guilds will do their best to put up a united front. Guild leaders, called deans, try to maintain some sort of order within the league, but trying to get these many strong-minded and competing individuals to agree on anything is a task by itself. The last League Meister, Tyrus Spear, saw the guilds through the Emperor Wars. Because he was careful not to align the league too closely with any single faction, the guilds made money hand over fist as the royal houses sought every advantage against their foes. Only at the end, with pressure growing from many of the guilds to help bring about peace, did the league begin to offer special deals to the then Prince Alexius Hogwood. The new League Meister, Oliver Lords of the Scrapers, has taken over at what appears to be a high point for league unity. The first non-Reeve to hold the post in decades, Lords seemed to be a consensus leader. However, Oliver Lords only took the role after infighting between 3 leading contenders threatened to spill out into the open. Let's talk about guild life. While most people know better than to trust a trader, few understand just how deep the league's involvement throughout the Empire goes. Serfs usually only see guild members visiting a planet, setting up a small shop, and selling their wares. The guilds actively try to maintain this view of their operations, concealing their massive installations and armies of mercenaries. Those in the know believe the Merchant League has committed itself to bringing about a new republic. However, your average guild member sees no evidence of any grand conspiracies. While they are quite glad to not be a serf, guild life is little better. Ostensibly free to change jobs and move from place to place, most live their entire lives tied to one occupation and one home. For these very low-level guild members, life is one of non-stop toil. While peasants make most of the food, clothes, and basic items of life in the known worlds, the guild members make it functional. Advancing in the guild can be even more difficult than changing jobs. Lacking family connections or wealth, a guild member must toil away at the very lowest levels of guild life. Concerning guild monopolies, Most of the guilds, major and minor, have a monopoly on at least one resource or device. For instance, the charioteers claim control of the interstellar trade routes via their luck on manufacturing jump keys. As Hargard opened to trade, however, ships owned by Duke Alvarez Hawkwood began ferrying valuable trade goods from Lemminkainen in its own fleet. Determining that Alvarez was buying the keys from creators deep in Bulldrock space, the charioteers lodged complaints. When this proved useless, the guild pulled its own traders away from the main Hargard Agora. Other guilds followed suit, and Duke Alvarez sent householders and serfs to take their place. When plague swept the Agora, hundreds of nobles fell deathly sick. Following a number of deaths, the Hawkwood called for guild help, and the fleet of noble house trade ships dwindled away. While all guilds have, or believe they have, a monopoly on at least one service or commodity, most areas are contested both within and without the League. For instance, while the Rips are the known world's dominant moneylenders, Brother Battle has carved out its own place in this lucrative field. In addition, numerous areas are protected from monopolies. For instance, while some food types are only cultivated by one house or local guild, food production in general is handled by all houses, guilds, and sects. Let's talk about the Bulldrock and the League. In many ways, guild members are responsible for much of the negative view the Bulldrock have of known worlders. Worst of all, muster chainers kidnapped entire hamlets, their people never to be seen again. Of course, most Bulldrock have no idea of the different known worlds factions. To them, anyone from beyond Hargard is either treacherous, murderous scum, or sheep on whom to prey. The Deans want all guild members who deal with the Bulldrock to think of themselves as ambassadors for the entire League. With the gradual opening of Bulldrock space to known world travelers, the guilds have numerous opportunities to do just this. To most known worlders, Bulldrock space still feels like a chaotic place. Local laws and customs rule, and guild members have died after making unwitting trespasses. Let's talk about Hargard and the League. This latest addition to the Imperial family still cherishes all the signs and symbols of independence that it can. No one guild controls its agora in Elfhome, which is instead run by representatives of the planet's Bulldrock and Ramakrishna rulers. In fact, numerous guild members ignore the agora altogether, choosing instead to trade where and how they please. They can be found in the north, seeking mineral wealth, or in the south, questing after lost technology. The Firestorm lands on Ostmark have proven the least open to guild members, though this has seen a recent change. While trading still happens there, more than a few guild members find the rewards not worth the risk. The muster, on the other hand, has been extremely active here. Concerning the League on Imperial worlds, in many ways, those planets directly under Imperial control would seem to be a high point of guild or noble cooperation. After all, during the Regency years, the guilds often provided key stability as officials came and went with the political tides. However, these factors have created a whole new level of tension between Imperial bureaucrats and guild leaders. If anything, the guild leaders fear Imperial worlders are becoming too comfortable with technology. However, the Imperial lands grew emboldened by success. While not sanctified by the privilege or martyrs, more than a few Imperial officials act as if they were. The guilds fear that the Imperial worlds do not respect their monopolies. While the Imperial Navy makes a point of getting new jump keys from the charioteers, no one knows how many keys the Imperial Eye has. While the Rips still provide the top advocates in the known worlds, the Imperial solicitors are beginning to prove stiff competition for them. However, the minor guilds are feeling especially threatened by the growth of Imperial power. Guilds like the bureaucrats, pedagogues, and others see their roles on existing Imperial worlds squeezed out and their opportunities on future ones as limited. Concerning guilds and the golems, the guilds have a love-hate relationship with golems, what we might call robots or artificial humans. The engineers are endlessly fascinated with them. Reeves use think machines to gain an advantage over their peers. Muster mercenaries deploy self-directed drones to boost their kill ratios. Scravers love digging them out of the ruins of the past. Charioteers sometimes use them to pilot their ships. Despite the acceptance golems find in some corners of the League, the bulk of guild members are opposed to golems as the most fanatical inquisitor. Some Academy Interata scholars have theorized that this terror dates back to the Second Republic, when corporations deployed artificial constructs in droves, often eliminating all the tasks humans would otherwise do. On some worlds, up to 99% of the inhabitants were forced to live on what the corporations provided. While necessities and entertainment were easily accessible, luxuries could put one in debt, and the tools to create one's own business often proved unattainable. After the fall, these worlds went through some of the worst anti-technology pogroms. Let's talk about the Academy Interata. Despite the incessant battles between the guilds, when they have worked together, they have accomplished some incredible feats. One of these is the mighty League Starfleet. Another, and perhaps more important achievement, is the Academy Interata, the only major educational facility not under the Church's control. Located on Liegheim, the Academy is the one place where guild members can meet peacefully, getting to know each other before learning how to stab one another in the back. While this is the view most people have of the Academy Interata, others tell a darker story. No research is forbidden at the Academy, they say, and its teachers and students have delved into the darkest areas of knowledge. Other people say these reports grew out of the constant politics that go on between and within the Academy's many departments. Professors and department heads have accused each other of everything from body odor to plagiarism to murder to genocide. The most recent assaults, however, have come from outside of the Academy. With the rise of the Pax Alexius, Academy researchers took their studies out of their ivory towers and into the field. They offered their services to the Emperor and his allies, both as researchers and advisors. This advice has covered every subject from agricultural practices to community planning to engineering accomplishments to political reform and more. Academy dignitaries assert that giving serfs better access to healthcare and education, as well as some control over the laws that affect them, makes them more productive. Some nobles have welcomed the efforts of Academy scholars to make their lands more successful. The Academy and other educational institutions have come under attack, sometimes literally, from the Emperor's enemies. While the politicking within the Academy is usually related to the different departments and not the different guilds, individual guilds certainly make their presence felt. The town criers are a notable exception. At the guild's height, it had a significant department at the Academy, devoted to new forms of communication and to compiling the great stories of the Emperor Wars. With the decline of the guild, both activities ended. The Academy itself is a sprawling entity. Classes and research take place all over Liegheim, and even at a few locations off-world. Indeed, the entire League backs the Academy Interata to an extreme degree. Many League leaders spent at least some time as students at the Academy, and most of these have fond memories of their time there. Let's talk about guild safe houses. The Merchant League has no illusions about its popularity in the known worlds. Nobles tax almost everything it does. Peasants look for every opportunity to steal from its shops, and the church condemns its very existence. So the League makes friends the only way it knows how. It buys them. Almost every planet has at least one non-League person who, at guild expense, will take care of League members or goods. Sometimes, one guild pays their expenses. At other times, a number contribute to the pot. Either way, that person will usually do what the League needs done. A problem the League often faces with these agents is that they often believe the League will sanction their activities, no matter what they might be. In addition, even though the guilds put these people on retainer, they often charge extra if a guild visitor needs something special. When it comes to piracy, none of the powers in the known worlds officially condones piracy, but it continues nonetheless. Nobles blame the guilds blame the nobles, and everyone casts a worried eye at some of the more fervent sects. The League would seem to have the most to lose from pirates, but they've done little more than the Emperor has. Of course, everybody tries to pass the blame off on barbarians and aliens. In fact, both barbarians and aliens have been captured while raiding merchant vessels. Contrary to popular belief, the pirates' general strategy is not to attack a merchant ship with blaster cannons blazing. This creates far too much risk of losing valuable cargo. Pirates infinitely prefer fast ships to heavily armed ones. They close with their targets as quickly as possible, broadcasting threats of what they will do to anyone who resists them. Pirates rarely kill ship crews, only punishing them if they resist. There are, of course, exceptions to this rule. Belial Black has earned an especially notorious reputation for cruelty. Tales of the torture he doles out to any who oppose him, and some who don't, have only grown since the Emperor Wars. Searching out space pirates is especially difficult. Since merchants tend to fly certain predetermined routes designed to make space travel as fast and inexpensive as possible, pirates have little problem ambushing a suitable target. Now, concerning guild stereotypes, the guilds got where they are today by attracting certain types of members, but that membership has become more varied as time has passed. The role-playing hints in each section provide a brief guide for both players and game masters who want to add these guild members to a game, but they should not feel forced to follow the guidelines. Create characters who do what they want them to do, regardless of anyone else's preconceived notions. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about the major guilds. As you can see, it's funny how some of the situations in this fictional setting apply to real life. And I also find it very appropriate that there are many political, economical, social, and hierarchical similarities between the guilds, the sects of the church, and the noble houses. Perhaps that's why they are also wary of one another. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.